I can't believe they gave me $250,000 with no credit check.
Damn!
This one company is giving out over $800 million in funding with absolutely no credit check. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you how you can get a piece of it. Fintech company Clearco announced the completion of actions to capitalize its business and solidify its position as the leading provider of growth capital to e-commerce businesses. The transactions include a $60 million equity raise and a new financing facility of $100 million in financing capacity. And this is expected to support $850 million of Clearco originations over the next 2 years. In the last 12 months, Clearco has pivoted its product to focus on a streamlined capital solution, invoice funding. Clearco customers can access between $10,000 and $2 million in invoice funding with predictable payment amounts over periods ranging from 4 to 6 months. Now, Clearco offers working capital for business growth, so you can unlock revenue opportunities for your e-commerce business. To date, Clearco has funded over $2.5 billion in non-dilutive capital and has funded over 10,000 businesses with the 8 times growth seen with Clearco funding. Now, they've made it simple where you can just upload your invoices and get them paid. And this is a quick turnaround where you can get funded within 24 hours. Now, they have flexible repayments where you could choose between 4 to 6 month extension plans. According to CEO of VaynerMedia, Gary Vaynerchuk, Clearco is a game changer because you don't need to put up your house, drown in credit cards, or give up a piece of your baby to fund ads and inventory. You get equity-free capital to pay invoices and manage cash flow on your terms. All right, so how does the funding work? Now, first, they're going to use your monthly revenue to calculate your funding capacity. Step 2, you're going to submit an invoice or receipt and apply for extended payment terms. Next, your application will be reviewed within 2 business days, and once approved, your funds will be used towards your invoice or your receipt, and then you'll just pay Clearco weekly over time via direct debit. All right, so here we just have some examples. I'm logged in, and you can use this slider, and it's going to allow you to choose an amount up to your funding capacity. Now, again, the funding capacity will be based on a variety of factors, including your monthly revenue, and you can actually plug in your banking activity or any types of sales accounts. And so they give you the option right here. So let's just do a quick example. Let's say you wanted to utilize $100,000. You can borrow on a 4-month, 5-month, or 6-month. Now, as you can see, the longer the term, the higher the rate. But overall, I would say these rates are not that bad, right? Rates less than 10%. Again, you can stretch it out to 26 weekly payments if you do the 6 months. And this pretty much lets you know the total cost. So on this $100,000, again, the invoice amount is going to be $100,000, $97.50 in fees. Now, obviously, if you have a shorter repayment, you'll obviously cut down on some of the fees. It tells you exactly how much you're going to be paying per week. So you can definitely use this as a guide on how much you want to borrow and what the cost of that capital will be. So of course you have to, use this information as it relates to your business, right? If it makes sense. Now, if you have an online business and let's say you're selling a product or a service, you could actually use this to see if it really makes sense after you borrow the money, if you could still make money from borrowing the money and pay back all of the fees and the invoice. Now, some requirements for invoice financing. So number 1, the invoice cannot be more than 30 days overdue. The invoice must be addressed to the customer we are funding. Vendor name, country of operation, and description of spend must be present, and the amount submitted for funding is equal or less than the total amount denoted on the invoice. Payment must be issued in one of the supported currencies. Now, just to recap, so Clearco has definitely made a pivot in its business model, which I think is actually going to open the door for more businesses. Clearco 2.0 is open for business and are poised to make an even bigger impact over the next decade with a more simpler, business-friendly invoice funding product. This will be able to support countless more entrepreneurs for years to come. Now, if you remember previously, in order to qualify, you had to be transacting online through a variety of different platforms. So if you had a Stripe account, Square account, if you sold on Amazon or eBay. You can integrate these online platforms, and then they would analyze that information and then provide you with a funding amount based off of the transactions. But now what they're focusing on is invoice financing. So pretty much how this works now is that you would just upload an invoice, and then based off of your monthly revenue, which they're going to look at your banking activity, they will give you a funding capacity, and based off of that funding capacity, you could determine how much you wanted to use towards that invoice. So I think this is definitely a pivot that's going to open the door for more businesses. Because again, previously, let's say if you just had an online business, but maybe you just sold direct to consumer or off of your website, or maybe you didn't use one of the platforms like Shopify or Amazon or eBay, or, you know, transact through Stripe or any type of point of sale, you really couldn't qualify. But now, since this is focusing more on invoice financing, any business that can upload an invoice virtually can be able to qualify between $10,000 up to $2 million. So I think overall, this is a game changer. And there was a time when it was uncertain where Clearco was actually heading, but they just got this equity injection of a couple $100 million to support small businesses. And over the next year or so, they're anticipating over $800 million in origination. So if you want to get a piece of that $800 million in funding, there's a link down in the description of the video for you to apply. Now, just so we're clear, this is not actual cash that goes to your bank account. What happens is you will upload an invoice, and then they'll pay your invoice and pretty much just bill you for it over a 4 to 6 month period. So one thing you can do, let's say you have a Square or Stripe or any type of platform where you can create an invoice. Basically what you'll do is you'll create an invoice, and I'm just going to go through this just to sort of demonstrate. So all you would do is create a PDF. You could download this, and then what you can do, you can upload it to your account when you're applying through Clearco. And what will happen is that they'll pay that invoice and then create and then you just make weekly payments depending on which payment plan you decided to go with. Now, and again, one of the great things about Clearco is that there's no hard credit check. So this is not going to impact your credit. Once they determine what your funding capacity is based off of your monthly revenue, you just upload your invoices and then decide which terms you want to go with, 4, 5, or 6 months. Clearco will then pay your invoices and then bill you for it. And then you will just make weekly payments. Anyways, that's all for today's video. Let me know your comments and questions down below. And until next time, take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.